The Late Tea Time Quick Questions, sponsored by Manscaped.com. Quote late at checkout and claim 20% off and free shipping. Introduce yourself, tell us who you are.
I'm James Buttler. I'm a sports journalist, commentator, specialising in cricket. That's my first love, really, if I'm totally honest. But always loved golf, always loved football, tennis, other sports as well. Worked in sports since around about, the mid-noughties. I was a local government housing officer prior to that and had a complete change of career. I do another podcast, the Cricket Badger podcast, but alongside Dave, I present the Late Tea Time podcast. I'm the idiot, basically. I ask the questions maybe some of you were thinking about asking, and then DT provides his gargantuan golfing brain to answer them with his expertise.
Question 1. Why do you love golf?
I was lucky enough to grow up in Louth in Lincolnshire. Mum and Dad still lived there, next to a golf course. I used to break into the course, around about 5 a.m, play around of golf before the groundsman got up, free of charge. Don't tell them. Used to sell balls out of the hedge across, sit in a tree and sell the balls back to the people on the second tee. So I had golf very close to me from a very early age. And obviously as a result of that, started watching it on the telly and fell in love with it.
Question 2. Do you play golf yourself?
I've played golf from a very early age. I was told it affected my cricket badly and vice versa. But I always liked played with my dad initially and then played with friends and what have you from work and beyond. So, always liked playing golf and kind of got half good at it, but not as good as I'd want to be.
Question 3. What is the best shot and round of golf you've ever played?
I had a hole-in-one. It was on a par 3, about 120 yards. Hit it nicely, thought it was a good shot. But the green was a little bit concealed. Got up to the green, couldn't see the ball. And I was thinking, so I went over the back, looked for it, went in the bunkers, looked for it. Couldn't find it anywhere. And then when my playing partner holed out, they found my ball inside the cup. So I didn't see it roll in, which was a shame, but it was in there. So it was a hole-in-one.
Question 4. What was your lowest golf handicap?
Never actually had an official handicap. So I was kind of accused of being a bandit at various times in tournaments. But I probably got to around 14, somewhere in that region. Because I was playing all right. I had some good shots in amongst it. I had a decent driver that I actually won in a competition with the radio, which went miles. And so I was quite good around the greens, but never got into single figures. Nearly did, but never quite.
Question 5. What is your favourite golf tournament?
Has to be the Masters. I just think the colours, it's a tournament I've watched since a kid. Always seems a bit magical. There's a little bit more magic, a bit more pixie dust in that. Closely followed by the Open in England, but I think the Masters is just something special.
Question 6. What is your most memorable moment watching pro golf?
I think you've got to go a long way to beat the Tiger Woods chip-in at the Masters, where it's going a long way left and it just rolls down and the Nike logo just drops very slowly into the hole. As I say, Masters is magical, and that was a very magical moment for old Tigger.
Question 7. Who is your favourite current golfer?
Anybody that watches or listens to the Late Tea Time podcast know that this is a choice of two. It's either Colin Morikawa, hello my mate, or Victor Hovland, hello my mate. If I had to pick, like Sophie's choice, between the two of them, and to only keep one as a child, it would be Victor. I just like the way Victor Hovland plays the game. He's obviously not been in quite so good form in 2024 as he has been in previous years, but he plays with that little bit of a smile on his face, and I really like the way he approaches things. So Victor Hovland for me.
Question 8. Who is your favourite golfer of all time?
Has to be Severiano Ballesteros. I thought he was charismatic. He was magical. His chipping and escapes around the green were legendary. And I was lucky enough, as I said before on one of the previous answers, that I lived next to a golf course. I was too young to go to see him in person, but they had him as a guest, and I could have the binoculars out from my top window in my house, watching him hit drives off the first tee, off his knees. And there was just something that was a little bit special about Sevi. And that, despite his very sad and premature death, that magic lives on.
Question 9. If you could jump into the skin of any golfer and be them for a day, who would you choose to be?
I'm going to say Bryson DeChambeau, because he is, I think, quite a complicated character. I've grown to love him, actually, in the last 12 months. When you see him come back from the Live Tour into the majors, He is exciting to watch. He's a big thinker about the sport. I'd like to know what cogs are in his brain and what makes him tick. And he seems to be quite a nice guy as well. So I'd like to be Bryson DeChambeau and just experience what it's like to be inside his head for 24 hours.
Question 10. You can invite 3 guests, dead or alive, for a fantasy 4-ball. And you can also pick a caddy. Who do you choose?
Invitation number 1 would go to Scarlett Johansson. Beautiful lady, very good actress, and I'm sure very good company as I wandered around the 18 holes. I'd want to have a political figure in there. I was tempted to say Donald Trump, but then I don't think I could survive 18 holes with Donald Trump. So I would actually probably go with Keir Starmer, just to see what he's like, because I think there's a bit more to him than meets the eye. So to have 18 holes with him to kind of really find out what he's like as a person, I think would be quite interesting. And then partner number 3 would be Nelson Mandela. I think he's often an answer that people give to this kind of thing because he is pretty special as a human being. I was lucky enough to go to Robben Island off the coast of Cape Town to see where he lived, in inverted commas, for 27 years, 28 was it? And an incredible person. And what he did when he came out of prison and kind of unified South Africa and took it forward was amazing. And on the bag, I'm going to have Ricky Gervais. Always liked his stuff. I think he'd be quite amusing as we went through. And with the dynamic between Scarlett, Nelson and Keir, I think Ricky Gervais with his mischievous sense of humour could make it quite exciting.
Question 11. And finally, on which course would you like to play that fantasy 4-ball?
It's going to be very boring. I'm going to be very predictable and give you the same answer that Dave Tyndall gave you. The Augusta National, it's an incredible course. One that everybody watches, one that everybody wants to play. So I'll take my fantasy 4-ball to Augusta and we'll play around that famous course.
Thank you for answering the late tea time questions. And thank you to manscaped.com for sponsoring the podcast.
Forever you and me, right by my side, where you ought to be. 'Cause if I ever were to lose you, I just don't know what I'd do. Let me hear you now.